Good morning. It's Teleforum. I'm Eddie Crow, and I've got guests, so you don't even have to listen to me. If you want to get in touch with us, you can call or you can message us. Is Tony Amadeo and Jack Manning. It's Ask the Commissioners. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
All right.
Doing very well. Yes.
Always good to be here, Eddie.
Well, you were just here a couple of days ago, and we'll revisit that in a minute, Jack. And Tony came in, and I don't know if you made me feel better or made me feel worse, but you were teasing me about having to apologize about the bridge. But I
Yes.
thought, well, that means Tony was listening to me.
Absolutely. And,
All right, I'll
and
take
you forgot to apologize in Italian.
I can't believe I forgot Italian. I apologized yesterday to the bridge workers that got the Ambridge Bridge done. And I apologized in 9 or 10 languages. And of course, the one guy listening saying, "Where's the Italian? Paisana, paisana." And completely zoned it. So how do you say sorry in Italian?
Scusi.
Scusi.
No, that means excuse me. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll count that.
Same
Yeah,
thing.
same.
Scusi. Okay, Tony, scusi.
In all seriousness,
Excuse
Jet Excavation and our folks did a good job keeping that on track. Fortunately, I think for the most part, the weather cooperated, so getting it done 3 days early certainly made our week to be able to
And
open that back up.
And each and every time they've worked on a bridge, they've done an excellent job. I mean, we get updates constantly on it.
Does anybody
And
ever come up to
inspections.
you, because what your job is, you are magnets for anger. Okay, you're like an umpire. If somebody's interacting with you, they at least have a problem. Does anybody come up and say, "Hey, good job on that bridge"?
Once in a while, every once in a
Okay.
while. But we're so close to our electorate. I mean, we're not like the legislators who go away to Harrisburg or the congressmen who go away to Washington. We're here. We shop in your store with them. We go.
Is that a double-edged sword?
Yes, sometimes. But I've been doing it for so long, I'm used to. Well, I started off as a teacher, so no matter where I went,
you're
I
used
ran
to
into people.
ne'er-do-wells.
Right,
Okay.
and so when I just became a supervisor, it just transferred to that, and when I became a commissioner, it just made the bases bigger. That's all.
A couple of things about that. One is people think we can influence and do things that we can't. So we get a lot of extra grief about things that we have no control over.
Are people rational when you explain to them rationally?
Yeah,
You
I
can't
mean,
do
for the most
that?
part. I mean, I get around. I'm
I get
in the
around.
communities. I'm at events. I'm talking to people all the time, and most of them are very, very appreciative of the job we've done, especially over the last couple of years with the pandemic. They're primarily a plurality of people that we run into are extremely appreciative of what we've done. The other thing is, I mean, personally, I've been in the people business. I like to help people. I like to solve problems. So I take those as opportunities when people are coming, see what we can do to make things better when they come to us. I mean,
Right.
that's what my job is to help people.
And if you don't enjoy that,
yeah.
this job would be terrible. for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
And
terrible.
I've been doing this for a long time.
There's still enough payback. It does. The thought of helping doesn't wane a little bit, because we've had 2 years, the better part of 2 years now, of people being real uptight about a lot of things. And as people, at least in perceived positions of authority, whether you can help or not, you're going to hear that.
We don't nearly have the power that people think we have.
Right.
But
Well, that doesn't keep
one
them from
time
yelling
when
at you.
That one time when you could pick up the phone and speak directly to an aide who's direct to a representative or a senator or a congressman,
Right.
and make something happen for a business, whether it's bringing somebody from a foreign country that needs to come in here with a specialty to do a particular job, and you make that happen, it makes you feel good. Or whether you just pick the phone and answer the phone and somebody with a family doesn't know what agency to go to for their problems, and you're able to direct them not just to the agency but to the director, his or herself, and you make that contact happen.
I had a conversation like that just yesterday with somebody. But, I heard a great quote the other day. It was in the meeting. Said, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. And it was actually by Pablo Picasso who said that. And I think my gift was the relationship building, the helping people, the problem solving that I've done. And this is the perfect job to be able to help give that gift back to a community that has embraced me and that I have embraced as my home. I've got both my boys here, both my daughter-in-law's here, both my grandchildren here.
Right.
And if that's your mental outlook, and we have those relationships, we have those abilities to contact the right people, even when it doesn't fall under our purview, that's what I'm here for. That's the whole reason I'm here, is to help people and help solve problems. That's it.
Give it
We're
another
done now.
example. Something completely.
That's my speech. I'm out.
We
All right.
complain about, people ask us about fixing their roads, which we have no
Right.
power
Right.
over. But there's instances where we don't have power, but because of our influence and our ability to make contacts
And our relationships, yeah.
we are able to help people. For example, I had a student, a very intelligent lady who travels the world, and she adopted a child from Thailand. And she got her child to Sweden, but they couldn't bring him into the United States.
Okay.
Picked up the phone, made a couple contacts with a senator and a congressman, and it made that happen. She was able to bring her adopted child from Thailand through Sweden to America. And she said, I got a picture on my desk in my office of the little boy. At the time, he was 2 or 3 waving an American flag. She sent it to me. Thank you, Mr. Amadeo.
And you didn't do it, but you got it done.
All right.
And
We're
sometimes-
facilitators.
Yes.
We are.
And sometimes, even when we can't do something, just being able to sit and listen to people and understand their story and understand what their issue is. If they want at least somebody to listen to them, because a lot of times people are frustrated because nobody's listening to them. And I think that's a big contribution.
Has it ever happened, somebody, you listen to their story and you care and you're earnest and you're instantly thinking, oh my God, this person's an idiot, get him out of my office? Has it ever happened? Have you ever thought that? I'm sure you didn't do it.
You know, I really don't.
Tony's just giggling
I'm
up
giggling
at his
No,
side.
I really don't. I mean, I give people their due. I try and be respectful at all times. I don't understand people who relish in others' discomfort and look down on people. So I just don't do that.
Schadenfreude.
Unless you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, I usually am not disparaging.
Well, yeah, we all have to have that one
anybody. You know,
exemption.
there's certain things, but
I always try to be a gentleman
Yeah.
with people. I mean, even when they're trying to tell you something that you know absolutely for a fact it's not true. You try to be a gentleman.
Like
You
those
try
things.
to, and I think that's why they call us politicians, because we handle people the best way we can.
I mean, the value, the dignity of work, the respect for people, I think is fundamental. I'm kind of appalled at how the vitriol flies back and forth these days along political lines and even geographic lines and stuff. And it's disturbing. That's not the way I was raised. I'm sure it's not the way Tony was raised. And that's difficult when you see all this crap flying back and forth between people for really no purpose other than to try and make themselves feel better, make somebody feel worse about being down on their luck or something. I just, quite frankly, I don't understand it. The world needs an infusion of empathy like never before for where people are.
I want to ask you about a word. Tony used the word, said, it's why we're politicians. How is the definition, not to you, but of how you think society looks at, how has the definition of politician changed over the last 10 years, 20 years, if you want to go?
I've always said politicians are people that facilitate government for their public, for the people. And that's what we do. We facilitate the government. We try to explain to people how it works. A lot of times they studied it when they were in school, but after a period of time, that's one of the things that you're more concerned about, making a living, raising a family, and doing those kinds of things.
You're doing your life stuff.
Right. So that's why, I've been in government a long time now. And it's one of the reasons I never try to go above the level I'm at. Because I have direct contact with people. I can help people. I can help the mentally ill. I can help the children and youth. I can help the aged. I have direct contact with those people. I mean, I don't have to go to Harrisburg to get that stuff done. That money comes to us so that we can help people in our locality. And that's what I like about this job. Sure, you get beat up once in a while verbally.
Yeah.
But that goes with the turf. And as soon as you accomplish something where you've helped somebody, it makes it all go away. It makes it better. You know,
Is that what happens as you work up the political ladder and become more important with more aides, you lose sight of what
We
you're
have
supposed to do.
direct contact with people.
Yeah.
I can tell you, my goal in life was not to be an elected official.
Okay.
And
Well,
having,
you wanted to be a ball player, I'm
and
guessing.
having, well,
Yeah.
I wanted to be a teacher.
I knew it wasn't
Teacher.
good enough to be a ball player, but I wouldn't have mind being a sports writer,
Okay.
following the teams around,
Oh, gotcha.
doing that stuff. But, you know, political savvy is a competency that in my line of work, in HR, that we look for. Not from the elected official political savvy, from the how do you deal with people higher up the chain in your corporation and lower
Right.
than you as a manager and stuff. And that was stuff that we taught. And it's a skill set, it's a competency that you can acquire. It worked well for me in a lot of roles that I've had, from the chamber to other things, to have that ability to relate to everybody at the same the same way, whether they're up and down the chain. And that's part obviously of once you're an elected official, and now you're an official politician because you ran for office. But I had been asked to run for all kinds of offices in the past, and like Tony, Harrisburg would have been just an exercise in frustration for me. This is where I thought I could add the most value based on the decades of experiences that I've had, small business, industry, nonprofits, nonprofit boards, the chamber, where those relationships and that ability to solve problems would be best served. And this is the only position I'm interested in.
Right. Same with me. Then my natural move from being a township supervisor for 24 years was just a bigger field, was county commissioner. And I've never, ever, and again, as Jack alluded to, we've been asked many times to run for offices. Some I wouldn't even dare say because people say, oh, he's full of crap. But no, you know.
Scoozy.
Yeah, I like sleeping, and I got to be careful how I say that, in my own bed,
Yeah.
with my own wife.
It's such
in
a
my own home.
politician hesitation, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Political savvy.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you phrased it like that, because that brings me to my next question. Does someone have to be politically savvy to be successful in politics? I can
No,
give
you have to have people skills.
But what if you don't, and that pays off?
You're not going to last.
Looking at Congress, I would debate that everybody has to.
But see, they're not on top of their
that,
people.
but,
They're
Is
far
that
away.
what, that's the
Oh,
removed thing for
Yes.
umpteen years?
yes.
All right, Tony Amadeo is my guest. Jack Manning is my guest. We're asking the commissioners. This is on 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. It is also on 99.3 FM presented by St. Barnabas. It is also being live streamed. I haven't even gotten to any of the questions. We missed the starter. So where are we with the reassessment? Jack's like, not
He's
even.
chair
We're
of
on
the
track.
assessment
We're on
board, so
track.
Okay.
you know.
We were given an extra year because you can't do an assessment a half a year. You have to do it. It has to be a full year.
Full
So
cycle for
we
tax.
needed
tax.
Oh, I
what
got
we
it.
really needed was probably 4 months, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we
half
got
a year at the most.
So they're able to do the commercials and get the industrials done at the right pace, not hurry up and go and get them done. That's the bigger part of it right now. I think, what was the number, 80%, 82% of the residences are already completed.
Yeah, and the commercials get made too. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close. So no, we're pretty.
Well, and we heard yesterday, Tyler Technologies, who's the group that we've hired, the professionals, the experts, to do that, are going to give us a kind of a year-end status report
Yes.
next week. So, assuming Matt's at our work session on the 8th, he'll get all of the latest data at the same time we do on
People need to understand that the Board of Commissioners, this board and the prior board, did our due diligence because people didn't want this to occur. We didn't want it to occur. We took it all the way through the court system. I mean, when we were sued for this, it was November or December of 2015.
Oh, dear Lord.
It's going to be 2022.
Yeah,
So we
7 years
pretty
later.
much, we knew it was going to be inevitable.
Right.
Because the one question I asked, has anybody ever won one of these? And the answer was no. But we delayed it to help people. Because each one of those years that was delayed, people saved money.
Right. They didn't get popped
Right.
with the tax that year rather than the year after.
Right. And again, it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 is going to stay the same, 1/3 is going to go up, and 1/3 is going to go down.
Okay.
and it shifts, and it doesn't increase our It's not based on increasing our total
No.
revenue pool for
So
taxes.
so the revenue pool for the taxes on the reassessment will be the same amount of cash?
For the county taxes.
Yes, county taxes, and then for the school district taxes, and then for the municipal taxes.
Okay.
Right.
They got that, they have to raise a pool of money, so they got to be able to make that balance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got a community where housing, let's just say $50,000 80 years ago is now worth $30,000, somebody's going to make up that difference.
And
in
that's
that-
where the
in that
1/3
pool.
up
Right,
goes.
that's where it goes up.
And I will say, that's one of the things that people do say something to me. I say, look, I inherited
Yeah.
a court-mandated assessment, and we're doing the best job we can to make sure it's done right, done well, and that people have as much knowledge of where their numbers are coming from as possible. And
We've
that's-
certainly
and that's what
done
we're
our
doing.
due diligence.
Yeah.
So for all the people saying, I don't want you to do that, your response is, well,
I
I didn't
did-
want to
I-
do it
Either, right?
And I've said that when a court tells me to do something,
Yeah.
okay, now I got to do something.
Yes, you can not go against the court
I'm
order.
not going to defy Judge Fauser, whoever it was.
Anybody with a robe, you sit up straight, don't you?
I usually do.
Yeah.
We have good relations, by the way. A lot of counties struggle with the relations between the court and the administration, but we have very, very good relations with President Judge Mancini in the courts and Bill Hare, the court administrator. We work well together, even though they're separate branch of government and kind of have their own thing.
And we
to
did with
do.
Judge McBride. I mean, when Danny became
prior
the
to
chairman,
that.
I said, you got to establish your relationship with the PJ so that we're on the same page.
So
that-
one hand
A
knows
lot of
what the other hand's
Well,
doing.
a lot of counties, that's constant battle there between the Board of Commissioners and the
Yeah.
bench. So that's what I did. We used to meet.
Playing nice
discuss-
is good.
Yeah.
Well-
I mean, we share the same building,
Yes.
right? But their employees are handled slightly different than
Right.
our.
And there's
other
good people
county.
on all those levels, so it
Some
works out
excellent
really
people.
well.
Yeah.
Jack Manning is my guest, and Tony Amadeo is my guest. We're asking the commissioners. This is the second time in less than a week that I've seen Jack. We're going to revisit that and get into that topic after news. It is Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
Did you ever think you would see a day when nobody showed up for the big city holiday parades or pro sports events? This is Michelle from Laughlin Insurance Agency in Rochester. If nothing else, this past year has taught us that things we never considered possible can happen and that nobody can predict the future. At the Laughlin Agency, your Penn National insurance provider, we give you the ability to protect against loss during unexpected times. Who knows what the future holds? Visit LaughlinINSAgency.com.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 for the best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas. The show is hosted by Mike Romai and is dedicated to shining light on great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests that are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is presented by St. Barnabas. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with new show host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com/the best of Beaver County. Beaver County Radio's news source. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning. As today's forecast is calling for scattered morning showers that will give way to cloudy skies this afternoon. Unseasonably high warm temperature of 58 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. Aliquippa City Council met last night. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano has more.
Aliquippa City Council met Wednesday night via Zoom and promoted Officer Paul Woods to full-time status based on the recommendation of Police Chief John Lane. Waste Management's contract for refuse hauling for 2 years was approved. There will be changes beginning April 1st, 2022, according to the hauler's representative, Mike Christ. Chem Oil Company's 1-year contract to provide diesel fuel was approved. No bids for fuel were received, and Sunoco, the current provider, will be used. Council may reopen bids at a later date. Janitorial services will be provided for 1 year by Anago Cleaning Company for the city building. Junax Auto Repair will continue as a towing company for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2022. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
Allegheny County employs more than 5,000 people, and County Executive Rich Fitzgerald said more than 90% of the workforce is now vaccinated. However, the remaining few hundred people who refused to receive the vaccine faced termination at midnight last night. Even with the slate of terminations that happened at midnight, Fitzgerald says none of the county services will be affected. Ross Township police are looking for whoever stole inspection stickers from 2 local repair shops. Police say that someone broke into the Jiffy Lube and the Midas along McKnight Road over last weekend. The lock boxes that contained the stickers were pried open at both shops. Police say that the stolen stickers can be sold on the black market. A Pittsburgh man who threw concrete through a police vehicle and injured an officer amid last year's protest over the murder of George Floyd has been sentenced to a year and a day in federal prison. George Allen will also have to serve 3 years of probation after he's released under the sentence imposed yesterday. The 31-year-old Allen had pled guilty to obstruction of law enforcement during a civil disorder. Prosecutors say that Allen threw multiple pieces of concrete in an occupied Pittsburgh police vehicle that was parked on a city street during the protests in downtown Pittsburgh on May the 30th of last year. One piece shattered the front passenger window and hit an officer, causing minor bruising on his arm. The United States has identified its first known case of the Omicron variant yesterday in a person in California as scientists around the world race to establish whether the new mutant version of the coronavirus is more dangerous than previous ones. The first U.S. case is a traveler who returned from South Africa on November the 22nd. The person, who was fully vaccinated, had mild symptoms that are improving. The person has agreed to remain in quarantine, and all the individual's close contacts have been contacted and have tested negative. Nigeria and Saudi Arabia also reported Omicron infections yesterday, marking the first known cases in West Africa and the Persian Gulf region. The $1 trillion infrastructure bill passed by Congress last month included $65 billion to provide better internet access to rural and low-income communities. Pennsylvanians see internet as a necessity to their economic future. Emily Scott has more.
In Huntington County, issues with getting online led to the founding of the Rural Broadband Cooperative, a small nonprofit that built a radio tower on a nearby mountain to provide wireless internet service to the central Pennsylvania region. From customer anecdotes, Henry McCreary of the co-op says the infrastructure bill could help families with students who struggled to connect during COVID.
Mom had to drive the kids 15 miles every day to grandmother's house for the kids to be able to get access to the internet to get their schoolwork done, which was really a burden for them for lots of reasons.
The cooperative is now up to 250 customers and growing. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act will provide Pennsylvania with an estimated $100 million over the next 5 years to increase broadband connectivity across the Commonwealth. An estimated 394,000 Pennsylvanians lack internet coverage. I'm Emily Scott.
Here's the Beaver County forecast from 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and 99.3 FM.
Scattered morning showers will give way to cloudy skies this afternoon with unseasonably warm temperatures. Our high will be up to 58 degrees. Overnight tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 33. For your Friday, cloudy skies and a high of 42. For your weekend, Saturday, mostly sunny, high 42. Sunday, a chance of afternoon rain showers, also a high of 52 degrees. Monday, rain and snow showers are likely. High is going to be 44 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, and streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to Ask the Commissioners on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. The commissioners are awaiting your questions by calling 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Today's show is brought to you by Huntington Bank, the Laughlin Insurance Agency, and Beaver Valley Auto Mall. Click BeaverValleyCars.com. You can also post comments or questions in the Facebook Live video feed. And now it's your chance to ask the commissioners right here on Beaver County Radio.
Mistake of asking Jack the question before we got done with news, and Jack's about halfway into his answer. I'll start you over.
Okay.
I'll start you over. It's Ask the Commissioners. It's Teleforum. I'm Eddie Crow. With me, Tony Amadeo, Jack Manning, and we're talking about commissioner stuff. I usually get to see you guys, what is it, once a month, right?
Once a month.
You come in once a month
First
and we do
Thursday
this.
every month, yeah.
Well, I got to see Jack 2 days ago, Monday? I don't know.
The 30th.
It's the holidays. It's a blur. I got to see Jack a couple days ago because we called Jack after I saw a story about a report or a research paper or something. And the gist of the story was, according to the report, the cracker plant that Shell put in didn't do anything economically. It didn't. We don't have gold paved roads. It didn't grow anything. And I see the people that work there just like you do. I'm thinking, well, they're spending their money somewhere. And you had some things to say about it. Before we go any further, the gentleman that wrote, he's the research fellow, so he actually wrote the study. He's going to be my guest on the program tomorrow, a gentleman named Eric DePlace. The organization is the Ohio River Valley Institute. And do you want to revisit your thoughts? Because it kind of put me off a few different ways, but you were more eloquent than I was.
Well, look, it's absurd to say that the cracker plant has not had a significant economic impact on Beaver County. It's just absurd. And I still haven't seen all the data, didn't see the report, didn't see the press conference. I saw a one-paragraph statement that said there's been no economic
That was the attention
no
getter.
economic impact
Yeah.
on that, no population decline, all this stuff. Well, the fact of the matter is, around 2014, 2015, we were estimating the population of Beaver County to be anywhere between 164,000 and 166,000. Well, the census came in, we're at 168,215 people, which I still think is underreported because there's some anomalies there, and it was done during, the census was done during the pandemic. I don't think we captured it. There has been growth since population growth. But more fundamentally, you can't measure everything in an academic study, picking out specific data points and saying, oh, look, that's down, that's low, that's lower than XYZ county or whatever it is. You have to look at the intangibles that are there. I've said before, the biggest thing that Shell did was they gave us a free, no-cost marketing plan for Beaver County, put us on the map. Tony can attest to this. For the last 5-6 years, the number of inquiries about Beaver County properties, businesses coming in, St. Barnabas wouldn't be investing, I think, $10 million if they did, in the Baker property, radio station, if they didn't think Beaver County had something to offer for the future. And other non-petrochemical investments that have come into the county. So it's there. If they're just looking for ancillary upstream or downstream petrochemical business, it's coming, but it's slow and it's going to be measured and it's going to be smart growth. It's just not going to be willy-nilly, growth. But the other thing is, people underestimate, with that cracker plant coming, because I used to go to Harrisburg every year with the chamber, and there was Harrisburg barely knew where Beaver County was prior to the cracker plant being announced. We did not get our fair share of tax return in. I can tell you now, and Tony will attest to this, I'll let him talk, PennDOT, the DCED, there is grant money, there is money pouring into Beaver County like never before. The amount of stuff that's come back to us in the last 5 years dwarfs what happened in the prior 15 years. That's
Really?
as far back as I can go.
And that's
Absolutely.
not pandemic. That's
Absolutely.
before
That's
pandemic.
not anecdotal. It's factual. The number of grants and stuff. And all those grants are based on, we got the cracker plant. And they acknowledge that. The states all over Beaver County like they've never been before. And that's a direct result of the cracker plant coming.
Yeah. The bottom line is, who did the study
Right.
and who paid for it?
Okay.
Those are the two main things.
I like your way
But
of thinking with that.
in reality, I've had 3 people knock on my door and want to buy my house.
Just,
So-
just off the
Right.
street.
And people that are transient
Yeah.
aren't going to do that. The transients are renting.
Now they're renting, put 4 in
Right.
an apartment and for 8 months and then going to the next
And
gig.
I stay on top of things that are happening in the county, building permits, for example.
Right.
There's so many new housing projects going up, so many new houses being built. And these aren't for the people that are going to leave. These are the people that are staying, that are here. The county it's an economic windfall for us.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I,
2 times Beaver County came into light. One was when the cracker plant went in, and the other one was when the governor gave everybody, moved them up, except for Beaver County.
Oh, when we
Yeah,
stayed,
all the
yeah.
yellow around the red.
When he tried
Yeah.
to
And when I thought
make
we
us
were
an
almost in
island.
Ohio.
Yeah.
But other than that, you didn't hear very much about Beaver County. Now everybody, no matter where we go.
Absolutely.
We go to Harrisburg, go to Hershey, to the conferences. Hey, how's the cracker plant going? How's this going?
I mean, that
never asked.
was a global marketing plan for no cost that put Beaver County on the map. People are looking at us, and there's a lot of things that we don't know about or we can't talk about with companies that are coming in, anticipating building down the road. But here's some data that was just out, Pittsburgh Business Times yesterday. The gross domestic product, the GDP,
Okay.
for every county in Pennsylvania. Allegheny was number 1 in the state of the 67 counties. But the 10-county Pittsburgh region, we were 4th, behind Washington, Allegheny, Washington County, Butler County, and then us. And I've said before, Butler
I was
County's
gonna say
got
Butler County?
Cranberry. Well, they've got Cranberry and
Oh,
Wexford,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Washington County has South
Southern Butler
we,
County.
We are not Cranberry and Wexford. We are not South Point. But our anchor, and the reason we're 4th in that, by a margin, we were 22nd in the state overall. 22nd out of 67 counties for GDP. I'd say that shows that something positive must be going on in Beaver County, that we're there. 4th out of the 10 counties in the Pittsburgh region and 22nd out of the 67 counties in the state overall. And there's a lot of counties that would have loved to have that cracker plant in their backyard. It happens to be ours.
And that growth the last 2 years has been during the pandemic.
And during the pandemic, those numbers are based on the pandemic year. Yeah, coming out of it.
Over 20 years ago, 25 years ago maybe, when I was a township supervisor, a young kid, our board borrows $6 million
Right.
to develop the infrastructure around the mall.
Mm-hmm.
It was dead. The Great Recession, you remember how bad it was. It didn't matter where you lived, whether you lived in Beaver County or whether you lived in Alabama or whether you lived in New Jersey. We took a big chance. We created this TIF district, which was the first TIF district in Beaver County.
What's that?
Tax increment financing area. For example,
A commercial area that
you have to do it with green lands. You can't do it with a borough or old buildings are set up. But what it does, the green land, the vacant land, you're paying taxes on the property.
Okay.
Okay? You create this TIF district, the property taxes from the land still goes to the municipalities and the county and everything. But the new monies that would be generated, excuse me, from the development of the new properties that are built go in to pay the tax financing district. So we just paid it off not too long ago, $6 million. But back then, when I was a young man, I couldn't sleep at night. We borrowed $6 million back then.
This better work.
And then my purpose in saying this is this. We sat on it after that. It took 5 years before everything started picking up. This cracker plant hasn't even started yet.
Haven't produced a pound of
Hasn't-
product yet.
Not one bit. We waited 5 years. But when the economy started opening up, we were the only deal in town at that point. We had all the infrastructure, we had
Were
all
you
the
not
pads.
freaking out at year 2.5 or year 3?
We were very, very concerned.
Okay.
Okay? We couldn't get as much infrastructure done as we wanted at the beginning, but once we saw that people started getting interested, then we start putting the storm sewers in, the sewer lines, the water lines, and the pads. Once we were pad ready, when the businesses start coming knocking, we were ready, and it just took off.
It's like there's the pipe sticking out of the concrete,
Right.
put the
So
walls
my
around
point
it.
is, it takes time.
South Point. I mean, how long ago did they decide to buy up some farmland, create that? I mean, it took a while. It took a decade before all of a sudden, boom, that thing
For them to
Florence.
say that nothing's happened economically in Beaver County because of the cracker night is asinine.
And look at the infrastructure improvements as well that have happened with roads and bridges and some of the financing that we've got to improve that. There's been impact on every resident in Beaver County, positive. I mean, if you ask them, the average person walking down the street of Beaver Falls, what's a cracker plant done? I'm sure they'll go, and the thing for me, because they can't see and don't understand the
Right.
bigger picture of what has happened as a result of that.
Center Sewer and Water made millions. The Water Authority got a $72 million brand new water plant.
Yeah. What's the end game? You said something I think was really important that most people miss. Like, consider the source of the information.
Yes.
What would the benefit be if I go out tomorrow and I
Well,
say
they're probably environmentalists. They're probably upset that the cracker plant's here. We've been dealing with those kinds of groups for the past 6-7 years. They weren't vocal until recently, most recent
Well, what are
times.
they? I don't understand why. If and I consider myself a pragmatic environmentalist, but if I've got an issue with something, if it gets built in spite of my issues, I'm still
Believe
not
me, there
squawking
were
about it.
studies done back then.
Right.
What people have to realize, for those grants that were given, legislators and senators from Philadelphia area voted for this. People from the eastern part of the state voted for this, to make this
On a
happen.
bipartisan
Right.
basis.
So, believe me, the intent's there. It's going to work. It's just going to take
One thing I
time.
want to make clear, because I think this is important. We're concerned about the environment. We're concerned about the pollution, all those things.
It's part of why I love living in Beaver County.
And
It's open
I don't
space.
want to disrupt that. Our quality of life, I think, is the best of any of the surrounding counties. I truly believe that. With our parks, recreation, the rivers, the Beaver River and the Ohio running through the middle there, the green space we have, the game lands we have and stuff. I don't want to undermine that. I want my 2-year-old grandson to live here and
to
enjoy
go
a
fish.
quality of life
Yeah.
that I've enjoyed for the last couple of decades and stuff. So I'm not poo-pooing that an industrialization like Shell is bringing doesn't bring issues and concerns. It does.
Sure.
And they're going to be monitored. They're going to be controlled. And I have much more faith, because I've worked in that industry, in the technology and the pillion. I mean, there's some brilliant people that are building this plant. This is a state-of-the-art facility, globally state-of-the-art facility. So that's important. The other thing is, post-construction, we have issues. We have plans. We have things. How do we keep those hotels filled? What do we do? What do they
Right.
convert into? How do we draw conventions into the county? How do we maximize the green space, the historical sites, the rivers, and those things to attract overnight stays and tourism? We've got plans. We're working on these kinds of issues long term. It's not that I just think everything's going to be,
Hunky-dory on
hunky
that.
dory,
Well, that's,
for the next decade. We've got work to do, and I don't want to minimize that. There are some things we have to look at, but they're underway, and we're laying the foundation for them, and they're going to happen, and we're moving in the right direction. The cracker plant was a tipping point to get us moving, and it's given more hope to more residents for the future of Beaver County than just about anything that's happened.
People have to understand that Shell cleaned up a toxic site. They spent $80 million.
to clean up
Can-
the last mess.
The cadmium and zinc.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, I went to center schools, and Potter was part of our district back then. And we had a lot of friends in Potter, so we used to drive on 18 all the time. When you're driving towards Potter Township, the whole left side of that thing has been dead for 60 years. It was black.
Dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
Dead. And I had a lady say, well, you wouldn't want this in your neighborhood. I said, lady, I just live 3/4 of a mile up the hill from this site. I said, don't tell me that. I grew up 500 feet from a blast furnace and a coke oven. I told her this. I was 9 years old before I realized snow didn't have black specks in it.
Yeah.
Which explains a lot about
Right,
it.
it's a different show,
But-
for sure.
I mean, it's all about perspective. What's your objective? What was the objective in that report? To make the cracker plant look bad.
What I object to are these binary discussions like, well, if you're against this, you've got to be for this, or if you're for this, you got to be against it. I live in a much more nuanced world. I see shades of gray everywhere, and there's a balance in everything between the environment and manufacturing. And as we talked about during the break, I mean, if we just become a service economy, I'm sorry, I'm not sitting around at a cafe. I don't drink coffee, but drinking coffee, working on my laptop.
What would you be like
having
if you
people
drank
wait
coffee?
on me?
How wound up would he be if he
I
drank
don't
coffee?
know if I could be a commissioner without coffee.
Yeah, you could be like,
I need coffee.
you're talking about service industry
No, I'm saying, what I'm
versus
saying is we have to make
manufacturing.
things. I've been in manufacturing for 35 years. My dad was in manufacturing. My sons are mechanics. There's great dignity, there's great value, there's great artistry, there's great artisanship of making things for a living. And if we're just going to depend on China to make everything and ship it here, that's not a world I want to live in. And it's not a robust, diverse economy that we need, where you have innovation and research and development and you're making things for a living, whether it's cars or phones or solar panels or wind turbines. I'm not against an all of the above thing, but groups like this are ideologically opposed to anything oil and gas, and they're looking for anything that can undermine or support an agenda that wants us to totally back away. And if you want to get on that subject, I'm all in favor of electric cars and those kinds of things, but it's going to take a lot more energy than a few solar panels and a few windmills to generate enough electricity to have a fleet of electric cars on the road. That energy has to come from somewhere. Nuclear, gas, oil, wind, solar, I mean, they're all in there. Coal, obviously, is one that's hurting, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of coal. But again, there's great dignity in the legacy of people who came into this country, dug that coal out of the ground, and helped build America to what it is today. And I have great respect for those folks and those families that have spent decades, all they know is crawl into a mine and digging coal out.
Do you remember the movie Wall Street? I think it was Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
You just create. Don't just buy and sell Bud Fox.
Yeah.
That's what you were just talking about. Is
Sorry to get
Are
on a
we-
rant for you there, Eddie.
why?
Mini rant.
No, I agree with you completely.
Well, at least somebody other than my wife is hearing this.
You made Tony listen to it,
True.
although I suspect he's heard it once or twice too. Is that
Occasionally.
on the subject of manufacturing? Before we wrap up here, what's up? And I wrote this down, and now I lost it. What's up with the Blacks Run Bridge across Route 51? Do I own that now? Does the city? Who owns that? And what's being done to it?
Same owner, same status.
Okay.
We've still got
They're going to put a
significant.
troll underneath it to
We've
hassle
still got
people?
some significant issues and hurdles to cross before anything conclusive happens with that. That's
What do you
about-
want to have happen?
What do I want to?
What needs
Well,
to happen? Because we're talking about physics and gravity here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to see the trail built, but not just that trail, the entire trail network be connected through Beaver County, from the Ohio line on down to the Montour Trail,
You go
Railson
ahead
Trail in D.C.
And the
I want to see
Montour
that
Trail
happen.
that hits the Gap Trail.
I believe this could be a critical component to that. I am not interested in owning the bridge as it's currently being presented to us.
Is it a fixer-upper?
Well, it's not the maintenance so much as you're dealing with the railroad, you're dealing with PennDOT,
Oh,
you're
okay.
dealing with entities
that was-
that have been historically difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's what concerns me right now. That's the last hurdle that I need to get over. So, and I'm not there yet. So I prefer.
Plus the topography too.
Yeah,
The
although
topography is
I'm less
bad.
concerned about that because I've seen a lot of trail development in my days. I told you before, my wife walked the Appalachian Trail several years ago, walked from Georgia to Maine. I've seen trail development, trail maintenance. That doesn't take a whole lot to do. I think we can manage that part, but it's the actual traversing of the rail lines and the other stuff. I prefer to see it stay in some other entity's ownership, and then we can
Yes.
contribute towards it.
And we've already agreed to that. We've already
know,
said
Because there's other trails and other development that we want to contribute and see
that hill
happen as well.
that
so.
hillside's moving all the time. I mean, we've had landslides there all the time. I don't foresee PennDOT permitting us to cut into that hillside above Route 51. I don't think Aliquippa is going to let us use the bridge because there was some words said at the meeting we were at. That's a dangerous intersection once you come off the bridge to go up the hillside, to cross a bike. But my biggest thing at the very beginning was the railroads underneath. I mean, I've dealt with it. I remember when I first became a commissioner, Charlie Kemp put my name on the Veterans Bridge sign.
Right.
And 2 years went by, 4 years went by. Finally, I started, Charlie, I don't know if I want my name on it. We're not going to get this bridge done. And the problem, why it took us 10 years before we built the bridge, was the railroads. People don't realize how powerful the railroads are in the United States.
Well, I think people learned that a little bit when the Walmart fell down, like right before you got to Bellevue going in, when that whole hill came down and blocked all those
where
trains.
Dixmont was.
Huh?
Where Dixmont was?
Well,
Up on top of that hill right before.
Dixmont.
Most of the hillsides we've had have been actually past where this is going to be in Aliquippa, at the, coming out of Franklin Avenue. There's a lot of rock slides there. But the only thing I will say in defense of the project, and kind of, Tony alluded that it's a dangerous road to get across the Mancini Bridge there. But on paper right now, if you're coming from Ohio or Cleveland and you're on the way to D.C., the designated share the road path is Route 51.
Yeah.
And that, I don't even want to drive my car on it sometimes, let alone ride a bike. And we have had from
You see the
from
occasional
Aliquippa down to Moon Township, we have had some fatalities. on
ghost
there.
bikes.
I
Yeah.
don't
I remember
want-
it being a
yeah.
3-lane road.
Yeah, I ride. People
We
know
have to
that.
have it-
I wouldn't go near it.
No.
We have to have a safer passage,
Yeah.
and that's always been part of my issue.
I think we're done.
All right. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you? Jack Manning and Tony Amadeo, my guests, were asking the commissioners. Is there anything you want to let everybody know that I didn't bring up?
No, just it's the end of the year. I can't believe it's the end of the year. Wish everybody happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2022.
Yeah.
So the year's flown
That's
by.
it?
I mean, that's it.
Merry Christmas to everyone
That's it.
also.
Merry Christmas
Happy New Year.
and Happy New
Hope
Year.
next year's better than this year.
And I promise if I have to apologize profoundly next time, I will start
Work on
At
your
least you know
Italian.
people are listening.
Scusi.
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 That means excuse me.
Scusi. How do you say my friend? Scusi. Scusi. I almost said amigo. Jeez.
No.
All right, let's ask the commissioners, and I did, and we're done. It's Teleforum. I'm not done, they are. It's Teleforum, Hour 2 coming up next at 11 o'clock, Best of Beaver County with Mike Romine, live singing with the help of Lincoln Park. You don't want to miss that. News is next. I'm Eddie Crow. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
Highmark Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and Allegheny Health Network are pleased to present a new show on Beaver County Radio called Heroes. Tune in every Saturday at 10 and Sunday at 12:30 for Heroes, a wonderful half-hour segment hosted by Jim Roddy that profiles many of the local heroes in this community. Click highmark.com for more information and then tune in for Heroes this Saturday at 10 and again Sunday at 12:30 on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.